Hi guys, I'm Danielle Groves, aka Unit Noon, and today we're going to be making pumpkin katsu curry. What you're going to need for the sauce to go with your pumpkin is some grated carrots, an onion, curry powder. You decide what's medium or heat, and then some turmeric to go with it. My old faithful fresh garlic. Ginger, garlic, onion, salt, coconut milk, and just to sweeten it a little bit, some syrup. You can decide whether you want to use honey or syrup. In this occasion I'm going to use maple syrup. And then for the side dish I'm going to be using or charred baby corns, sugar snaps, and I've cut up all the stalks. This will go into the curry sauce as well, and I'm using the white bit of the spring onion to char off as well to use as a side. And then also rice to go with your katsu curry. I have already steamed my pumpkin lightly because you will never be able to shallow fry a fresh pumpkin pieces crumbed and let it be, you know, nice consistency and cook through. So I always tend to steam it a little bit beforehand, and you can see it's quite firm. I really just teased it a little bit with the steam, and then before you can crumb it, it needs to be completely cooled down. And I like to season my pumpkin before I crumb it with cumin, garam masala, and then what I haven't added is a little bit of onion salt. Some people say, oh, you just have to season your flour of the crumbing, but I just don't feel that the seasoning or the taste comes through. So I tend to season my pumpkin, and the amount of pumpkin that I've used in here is this size. You can use butternut squash as well, or any squash family, but I just generally feel a pumpkin has got like a nice sweet taste, and it really goes well with the curry sauce. And then to crumb, you're going to need 3 different bowls. One bowl with a little bit of flour in, because the sequence is going to be, you're going to dip your pumpkin in the flour, and then you're going to create a wet mixture with flour and milk. In this case Oatly milk, and then from this mixture to your final bowl, which is your Panko breadcrumbs. You can use ordinary breadcrumbs as well, but seeing that katsu curry is Japanese, I tend to use the Panko breadcrumbs. And then let's get going. So I've already drained and rinsed my rice, so I'm going to get the rice on, because the rice tends to stay warm for quite a considerable amount of time after it's cooked. And add some salt to the water. And get that going. And then I'm just going to make my flour mixture. And then this flour and milk mixture is the substitute for the egg you would normally use to crumb your pieces of food. And then you don't want it too loose. You know, you want some consistency to it, because this is going to help the breadcrumbs stick to the pumpkin. And then I add a little bit of salt to this mixture as well, and a little bit of onion salt. And then always make sure that you use rather a little bit too much flour or crumbs, because it really gets me flustered if I'm mid-crumbing in the process and I've run out of flour or crumbs. So save yourself the anxiety attack, and always make sure you've got extra breadcrumbs at the ready, or flour for that matter. And then I'm also gonna switch on my oil and let it get nice and hot for the process. And then I'm gonna start crumbing. So let's go in. And then I always like to plonk them in the oven, about 180 degrees oven after I've fried them, because it feels like I'm getting rid of the excess fat. And then also remember, we've lightly steamed the pumpkin, so it doesn't need that much time with any oil. You just want it to get nice and brown before you take it out. And then I'm just going to use this pan to stick it in the oven again. So you can see the process was nice and tidy. And we still have our sanity. And then go and test and turn them around, so you can see that it started to brown off quite nicely. And you don't want the oil too hot either, because then you would have burnt crumbs on the outside and a half-cooked pumpkin on the inside. Coming on in nicely. Still a lot of moisture in there, so slightly. Wonderful. Getting there. just put this in a baking tray like this, because once everything's crumbed, you'll be sticking them in the oven on a low heat. Smelling divine. Okay, so the rice is done. Wonderful. I'm gonna turn the heat down, switch it off completely. These are coming on nicely. Beautiful. Okay, now I'm going to take these out and stick them in a low oven while I am preparing the katsu curry sauce and my vegetable side that's going to go with it. And then hopefully it's got enough excess fat in there to bubble away in the oven, and then we can get going with the sauce. Okay, now we've fried all the pumpkin pieces off, and I'm just going to put them in a low heated oven while I prepare my curry sauce that's going to go with the... Let's just give it a good old wipe here, everything is dirty. Okay, so I'm just going to put this to one side there. Always be careful, it's hot oil. Go. A little bit of olive oil. I'm now tempted to use some of that olive oil, just not to be so wasteful. Always reuse stuff where you can, to be economical with your produce. Wonderful. And then I'm just going to get the hob on, and the oil is already hot because I've literally just switched the pan off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my onion and carrot in there. I'm going to stir it through, and then put a little bit of onion salt to draw the moisture out. Then the stalks of my spring onions, get all of them in there as well. And let them soften. Brown off a little bit. Some people like a smooth curry sauce, and they would put theirs through a blender, but I like the katsu curry sauce with little pieces of vegetable in there. It doesn't bother me or phase me out. I find it quite enjoyable. This needs to go a little bit more. I want the onion nice and yellow and soft before I add any of the other ingredients into the pan. this is going to add flavor to your curry sauce. You know, it's going to just complement each other so nicely. I'm just going to turn my oven down a little bit to 150 because I don't want to overcook my pumpkin, especially if you've gone through all the trouble and crumbing stuff. Always be alert. Okay, so the onions are getting nice and softer now, and it's got that nice golden yellow taste look to it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my fresh ginger to it.
Is it ginger?
It is. I've made sure it is ginger and not garlic. And then my very lazy garlic. I'm going to put a nice teaspoon in there. There we go. And I'm also at this point going to add a dash of Mirin. It just brings out the flavors. I mean, it's like it's a rice wine, sweet rice seasoning, and then a little bit of rice vinegar. It just, trust me on this one, it brings out all the flavors. And a pinch of soy sauce. I always go for the light soy sauce because it's salty anyway, so just stir that through. Oh, it's smelling amazing. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to add my curry powder and my turmeric to this mixture. I would say it's like 2 tablespoons curry powder, 1 tablespoon turmeric. And then stir that through nicely. And then we're going to come in with the coconut milk. Mix it through, and then you can now turn the heat down and just let it simmer so that all those flavors can draw into the sauce together and make it just a nice flavorsome experience. And then let's just see the consistency of it. So you can see with the vegetables in it, it's quite lumpy, and I feel I can add a little bit more water in there just to give it a stronger consistency, or that you've got enough to serve over your rice. And then if you want a thicker consistency, you can just add corn flour to thicken the sauce. And then always taste your sauce now to see if it's seasoned to your taste. I would go with a little bit more salt, and then also a little bit of white pepper. Turn the heat up just a touch. Beautiful. Just let that simmer on a low heat. Don't let it burn. Keep an eye on it. And then we're ready to char off our corn and sugar snaps, along with the white part of the spring onions. So just wait and let the pan heat for a minute. And then also what I sometimes tend to love to add to my katsu sauce is some frozen peas. Because it brings nice color to the sauce. So, stir them through. And I think what I am going to do is I'm going to use some corn flour. This is about a tablespoon of corn flour. And always make your mixture with ice cold water to prevent it going lumpy. And then you add it to your mixture. Don't just throw in the corn flour powder because you will regret it. It's gonna then have really unsavory lumps. And you can see, look how beautiful and milky this is. And then just pour that to your mixture, only half of it, not all at once, and then see what the effects it's gonna have on the consistency of the sauce before you pour the whole lot in. Okay, and then let's just feel the heat of the pan. Just get that out of the way. This is now heating up nicely, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my sugar snaps in there first and just char them off. I'm just gonna actually add all of them together. And it's nice, just a nice little accompaniment for your katsu curry to have something like this on the side. And don't be too hasty with it because it needs to char a little bit, so take your time. And yes, and also don't forget your maple syrup or just regular syrup or a little bit of honey to your katsu sauce. I'll taste the sauce in a minute, let me just quickly. And you can see, it's like charring off nicely. It just looks so beautiful, in my opinion, when you char vegetables like this. Just let it take its time and do its thing. And then once you've reached the point where you think it's charred enough, I then like to add a little bit of sesame oil to the whole mixture, and then a little bit of seasoning. Beautiful. And it's so funny, if you just lightly char it like this, it really brings out the sweetness of the spring onion, which I love. So you can see how nice, that's what you're going for. And then while you're at it, let's just have a little taster. Lovely. And I think this is ready to take a little bit of salt and then a touch of sesame oil. And a little bit of soy sauce. And that's it. I don't want to cook them anymore. I can completely turn to whole pot. This will do it beautifully. And then what I also like to add is some nutritional yeast. Just like that over. Let's quickly see how these bad boys are doing. They look good. Yeah, that's a beautiful consistency. And I'll turn the heat down on that a little bit now. It's come to the boil. And I think we are ready to serve. It's always music to my ears. So just gonna get this ready. Wonderful. And then just gonna see how nice and steamy your rice is, and what a beautiful consistency that is, in my opinion. Other people might have a different view on it. And then a few pieces of your pumpkin. And I like to serve the sauce before I dish up my side. You like to drizzle more of the sauce over your pumpkin and your rice. Beautiful. And then I will go in, put just some of these greens and corn next to it. And top it off pickled ginger and some fresh coriander and parsley. Voila! Katsu pumpkin. Beautiful, and I'm absolutely salivating. It smells so nice. I can't wait to tuck in. I hope you like this one and see you next time. Bye.